Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
Hello out there. This is Ben Dickerson. I'm your co-host. Very interesting show today, but I'm extremely excited to introduce you to a guest, and that guest happens to be my brother, Donald Dickerson.
Hey, Donald, how you doing?
Hey guys, how you doing? It's an honor to be on this show and a blessing, and I really appreciate you guys looking out for me.
Donald, you are our first and only guest.
That's right. He's our first guest. That's right.
Yeah, we don't do guests normally. You know, we have enough arguments or disagreements going on between the two of us to add a third person might make it exponentially more. But that's okay, man. We're looking forward to you guys doing your piece. So let me just run it down for the people. This is the Dickerson Brothers, and we're going to kick this show off with the Dickerson mock draft. Is it 1.0 still? Or
2.0.
You're at 2.0 now.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're going to kick this off right away. I will bring this up so that everybody can see it. So Ben, you did your homework. You and Donald put your head together on this?
Bro, I'm going to tell you the truth. When I came out with 1.0 last week, I gave Donald a lot of credit for the input that he gave me in coming up with 1.0. We did in fact put our heads together, and some of the picks that I came up with, I took into consideration a lot of the information that he gave me. However, I used some of that same information, but we did not exactly put our heads together for 2.0. So as we go through this mock draft, he may have some extra information. He may have some differences of opinion. He may be flat out going to tell me I'm wrong, okay? But that's what's going to make it interesting. So I'm ready.
All right. Here you go. The Dickerson Brothers 2021 NFL Mock Draft 2.0. Starting off with number 1, Jacksonville Jaguars. Go ahead, Ben. Take it from here.
Okay, so we're going to make this part really quick because the pick number 1 and pick number 2 are pretty much set in stone. The Jacksonville Jaguars will take Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback from Alabama, and the New York Jets, having traded away Aaron Darnold, pretty much set in stone that they're going to take Zach Wilson, the quarterback from BYU. Now, the intrigue begins right after that, okay? The number 3 pick in the draft belongs to the San Francisco 49ers, your team, Barry. There's a lot of speculation on this one. I'm saying that they take Trey Lance, quarterback from North Dakota State, 6'4", 227 pounds, strong arm, can move, great size as you can see, can run if he has to, also can throw from the pocket. North Dakota State runs a pro-style offense. I love him. A lot of people like Justin Fields in this spot. I'm going with Trey Lance. What do you say, Donald?
I'm going with Mac Jones.
Whoa.
San Francisco's head coach has worked with a lot of pocket passers in the past. Mac Jones is kind of mobile, but he has a good arm. He's pretty accurate, and I think he can pick up the system rather quickly.
Okay, so we got our first disagreement right there, but let's face it, the 49ers book is open right now. There's no telling what they're going to do. I say Trey Lance, he says Mac Jones. Number 4 pick in the draft belongs to the Atlanta Falcons. For now, there's a lot of speculation out there that there's at least 3 teams trying to move up to this spot. But until that happens, we can't really speak on it. So I'm going to say that the Atlanta Falcons go with the top offensive tackle on the board. That's Penei Sewell from Oregon. He's 6'6", 331 pounds, a big guy, very mobile, got decent speed, good run blocker. He's got the whole package. What do you say about that, Don?
I think that's a great pick for Atlanta. Everything you said about Saul, you're correct. But I'm also looking at Atlanta two different ways. Um, they're on record, and it's the fact that they want to trade out of that fourth round pick.
Right.
If not, I saw some interesting boards where they're looking at Jalen Waddle.
Okay, that's a possibility. Let's face it. Matt Ryan looks like he's going to be there for a while. Jalen Waddle would be a good pick for them, but they still have Julio. They do still have Calvin Ridley. So I'm thinking offensive line might be the spot they go to unless they trade.
Well, can I explain on the reasoning of that? Because of the fact that they have Julio on the outside, and they have Ridley on the other outside, and Waddle would be great in the slot.
He would be the slot guy. Okay, that makes sense. Number 5, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals, I say, are going to take Jamar Chase, the number 1 receiver on the board from LSU, the same school that Joe Burrow went to. Okay, his number 1 receiver when he was there. He actually opted out this past season, but the season that he played with Joe Burrow, he was the number 1 receiver over Justin Jefferson, who everybody loves now in the NFL. Jamar Chase was the number 1 receiver over Justin Jefferson. The Bengals will not hesitate to take Jamar Chase. The only player I can see them taking over Jamar Chase is a real super special athlete, and that's Kyle Pitts, who I have going to the Miami Dolphins at number 6. Kyle Pitts is a tight end out of Florida, 6'6", 240, checks all the boxes. Size, speed, plays inside, outside, great hands, great ball skills. Can't say anything but good stuff about Kyle Pitts. What do you got?
Ben, let me just jump in here because we're down to number 6, and I want to make sure people understand your thought process, because you kind of went into it last week when you first did your 1.0. But just give people an idea about why you are choosing the players that you're choosing. What's your thought pattern there?
Okay, I should have said that ahead of time, but I was so excited to get into this and get my brother involved that I kind of forgot. So let me throw this out here, okay? This is a mock draft. I did not copy this from Pro Football Focus, CBS Sports, ESPN. This is mine. This is my mock draft using my knowledge, my research, my looking at tape, along with the research and the looking at tape from my brother, okay? Along with that, I'm looking at each team and what their needs are. Now, if you know anything about the NFL draft, teams usually draft for either need or a player that's a special person. Sometimes you got a special athlete that's on the board that you just can't pass up, okay? So that's usually what teams do. That's how they choose. So I'm looking at those things when I look at what team is picking. And then I determine who I think they should and or will take. Is that pretty clear explanation?
Yeah. Now, for example, some of these teams are taking people for reasons that I don't know are purely football reasons. So, for example, I'm thinking about the Jets. All right, the Jets are a team that could have kept Darnold, right, and made a move, but it seems to me that they decided, for reasons of culture and things of that nature, and for job security, that if you get rid of Darnold, you bring in a young guy, you know that you pretty much are going to get a leash of about 2, 3, 4 years at the very least as a coach. And I wondered how much that plays into them deciding. Now, you don't care about any of that, but those kind of decisions could potentially screw up your mock draft, couldn't they?
No, I do care about that.
Oh, really? Okay.
You're exactly right. The New York Jets have a new head coach. It's Robert Saleh. He is not married to, I called him something else. His name is Sam Darnold. I'm sorry. He's not married to Sam Darnold at all. Nobody there is going to try to make a new head coach who they value and feel like is about to turn things around for them quickly, slowly, however it happens, and nail Sam Darnold to him or tie him to him. They're going to reset and they're going to start over with a quarterback that they really, really believe in. Sam Darnold's been around for a couple of years now. He's had his opportunities. He's had a lot going against him, different head coaches, different offensive coordinators. He's got a lot of things that haven't played into helping him succeed. But let's face it, they're ready to cut bait and start over. And they love Zach Wilson. So if that's what they're going to do, that's what they're going to do. You know what I mean? They could say,
Hey, Ben, I totally agree with what you're saying. Most of the time when there's a new head coach, he likes to get his own quarterback, unless the general manager and the owner of the franchise has something to say.
exactly.
So I totally agree with you with that.
Exactly.
In some cases, if they like the quarterback that's already there, then I guess the general manager and owner has to make that decision to keep that quarterback in place.
And they decided not to. They're going to give Salah a clean slate, give him the quarterback that he wants, so they don't. In other words, if they bet on Darnold, who hasn't been that good, but has continued to show potential, but never really proved himself, if they give him one more chance and it blows up, they look crazy. But if they start over fresh with a new quarterback, it's like you said, Barry, they get a little longer leash, maybe another year or 2 or 3 years of a leash, as opposed to Darnold, who basically has a 1-year leash. So yes, we all actually agree.
So, okay, before we jump back on there, let me just remind people again that this is Ben and Barry on football. You can find us at www.benandbarryonfootball. We are on the radio on Fridays from 6 to 7:30 on WJRL 95.3. You can find us at www.wjrl953.com and also on social media. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention the podcast, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. All right. Number 6 was the Miami Dolphins. You said that you expect them to take Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts, Hall of Famer in waiting. I hope I don't jinx him. But yeah, that'd be a great pick, and that's going to help Tua quite a bit. Let's move on. Number 7 pick in the draft belongs to the Detroit Lions.
I don't believe you're moving on. You know I have something to say about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. Remember, I was going to throw it to you for Kyle Pitts, and then Barry jumped in. So I'm sorry. You're right. Go back. Give me Kyle Pitts.
Okay, I tell you what. I'm going back to 5 with Cincinnati, and I'm believing that they'll take Chase. I'm in agreement with that, but monkey see, monkey do. I believe Miami's going after Devonta Smith.
Okay, now I'm going to stop.
He has a connection with Tua.
I'm going to stop you. You know why? Because I'm going to let everybody know right now, I'm going to expose you as a huge Eagles fan. People are going to love you for it, but I'm going to expose you for a huge Eagle fan. And the huge Eagle fan, ladies and gentlemen, is trying to push Kyle Pitts down the board so somehow he can make it to the Eagles. Okay? Now, let's move on.
Donald, you have ulterior motives in your mock draft, man.
Sure I do, because Detroit is probably going to take Michael Parsons, Penn State, linebacker. Awesome linebacker.
He's killing me.
One of the 2 people I listed on our Facebook page that were not wide receivers and cornerbacks that ran a sub 4.40, I do believe.
Yeah, 2 of them were Penn Staters.
Yeah. All right.
But listen, I'm going to explain to you why Detroit is going to take Devonta Smith. You Eagle fans that want Devontae Smith, forget about it. Lest we forget, not only did Detroit lose Stafford, but they got Goff. Brandon Goff is all wonderful and everything. He's younger. He's proven he's got potential. He's played in a Super Bowl, but they let Galladay go to the Giants, and they let Marvin Jones go in free agency also. They have no wide receivers. They have to take a wide receiver. Chase is gone. They go Devontae Smith. You can't argue with that one. You can't argue with that one. Devontae Smith is the next guy off the board unless it's Waddle, okay? Let's go number 8, Carolina Panthers. I think they'll take Rashawn Slater. The reason in my 1.0 draft, I had them going quarterback, and I was hoping that they would either get Fields or Lance. But since they made the move for Darnold, now quarterback is out of the equation. So then now they have to go offensive tackle to help Darnold out and protect him. I think Rashawn Slater is going to be a good player for them. Offensive tackle out of Northwestern, 6'3", 315 pounds. Good pass blocker, real great feet. You know about Rashawn Slater, don't you, Don?
Yes, I do. Even though they list him with small arms, he can play guard and he can play tackle. And he's one of the top 3 offensive linemen I have on my charts.
Yeah, he's got short arms. His arms are relatively short compared to some other guys at tackle. They like tackles that have long arms, but he's proven that he can play the tackle position. Chances are when he comes to the pros, he'll be bumped down to guard. I say bumped down like it's a demotion, but it's really not, okay? But at 315 pounds, the guy can handle his own, okay? Now, gets interesting again. Number 9, the Denver Broncos now find themselves able to get out from under Drew Lock because guess who's still on the board? Justin Fields. Justin Fields, I think, will go to the Broncos. He's out of Ohio State. Good size, 6'3", 227. Strong arm. Obviously has running ability. The only knock on Justin Fields that I heard, and I'm going to ask Donald after I'm done, but the only knock I heard on Justin Fields was he held the ball a little long and had some problems with his post-snap reads and going through his progressions. What do you got on Justin Fields, Don?
Well, he's a mobile quarterback. He's very good when it comes to run and pass. I'm pretty sure they're going to do a lot of OPRs with him to try and get the ball out of his hands, which means that he has to go through his progressions quicker. Whether he can do that, I mean, I don't know. I hope he can. I like the pick for the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
So are the Denver Broncos giving up on what's his name, the existing quarterback, you think?
Yeah, I think they've given Drew Lock about
I believe so.
They're going to give him. Yeah.
I believe it's going to be a quarterback battle in camp.
And guess what? If you look at the Denver Broncos receiving core, it's pretty young and pretty fast and pretty energetic. Like they got good.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
They're just waiting for a quarterback to can put them guys to work, really. So that the only other thing I would say here, if they don't take Justin Fields, maybe they take Mac Jones. I think they'll.
And what's really interesting is that if you look at tape on him when he played for Ohio State, they did a lot of crossing routes. And they definitely have a lot of speed on at wide receiver. So yeah. I'm looking at a lot of crossing routes. I'm looking for throws down the hashes. And I'm also looking for some maybe not really trick plays, but maybe bubble screens, something quick to get the ball out of his hands and then work on his progression during the season.
Yeah, bubble screens, jet sweeps, that kind of stuff until he really gets his feet under him. Yes, I agree.
Now, I was one of those people that questioned that whole thing about Ohio State quarterbacks not having a history of success in the NFL. And I actually kind of felt bad because there were a few people in the media that were taking umbrage to the people who are saying that he did not have that like he was deficient in his ability to read the field and get from his primary to his secondary to his third. And they're saying they didn't really see that in his play, you know. As I told you, you know, physically, once I saw the pro day, you know, it was impressive, size, speed, arm, all of that was very impressive. The only question was one, and it's almost like he has an institutional stain on him, you know. And
Yeah.
it's a shame.
Dwayne
You know,
Haskins, Dwayne Haskins has not helped Justin Fields.
not at all.
He has not.
Not at all. Okay.
So
You want let Donald read this one, Benny.
well, this is kind of mine based off of mine and his input. So he's still going to disagree with some of these.
Well, no, I'm just joking because we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. But then I didn't realize the Giants is next. So that this NFC East, you guys go ahead, battle it out. Let me hear you.
He's an Eagles fan, bro.
I know, which means he hates the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, well, guess what?
Because he hates the Giants more. I'm not sure.
I hate Dallas more than I hate the Giants.
Okay, let's get that clear.
It doesn't matter who hates who. You're gonna hate this if this happens, and I know I am because I love Micah Parsons, linebacker out of Penn State. But I think the Dallas Cowboys are gonna take him. Number one, because he's a high-end athlete and he's still going to be on the board when it's time for them to pick. And number two, because they really need linebackers really, really badly. They need a lot, but a star linebacker they could really use. I know you got a lot on Micah Parsons, Donald.
You know what? I think it's a great pick, even though I think he's going to get selected before 10 with Dallas picks. I got Dallas getting Patrick Surtain. They need a shutdown corner.
Yes, they do.
He's projected to be the best corner in the draft. Farley, people are giving up on him because I just realized that he had 2 back surgeries. And they say back surgeries are not minor. So even though Farley is better than Surtain, right now Surtain is the best corner coming out of college football right now. So I think Dallas will select them.
Let me say this real quick about the Surtain and the Farley thing. The back surgeries that they discovered about Farley are not good for him, but Surtain athletically really showed off in his pro day. And we know that sometimes a real good pro day has a tendency to push you up the board. So I kind of think that could have happened, and it's a good possibility that Dallas could make that pick. I don't think they will, because I don't think Parsons is going to go before. Let's face it, we've done from 1 down to 9, okay? And you haven't said, no, I think they're going to take Micah Parsons. So Micah Parsons is still there for Dallas. I believe they take him, which takes me down to the New York Giants at pick number 11. Bro, as badly as I want the Giants to take another receiver, in my heart, I want them to take a receiver, but in my head, I know they need an offensive lineman. So I'm saying they're going with Christian Darrisaw, who's an offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech. Please, Donald, make me feel better about that pick. Tell me about Christian Darrisaw.
Hey, he's like a top 3 offensive lineman. What can I say? I mean, he's top of the line, but
he's got.
I think I really believe that the Giants are going to throw a curveball, and they might get an edge rusher. I got Jalen Phillips.
No.
The only problem with Jalen Phillips is he had a couple concussions or a few concussions, and I know teams might back off on him, but he's really, really good. I saw some film on him, and he plays with meanness, intention to really hurt someone. And it's funny because the guy that used to play for the Miami Dolphins years ago, what was his name? Zach Taylor? He reminds me of Zach Taylor. So I looked up the bio, and Zach Taylor was 6'6", 260, and Phillips is 6'5", 266.
Yes,
Both of them are
yes,
rangy,
yes,
long
yes,
arms,
yes,
and they try and hurt you when they when it comes to run stuffing or chasing somebody down or
yes,
rushing the passer. They're very unique players to me.
yes.
That
It's
would be a
funny you
steal.
brought
I
that
mean,
up
it would be a
because
reach, but it's a steal.
okay, and you could be right, but his name is going to come up as we go down the line. But I like that you found that physical likeness with the small frame, or I should say, the thin frame, along with the height. Uh, those kind of guys are extremely hard to block coming off of the edge.
Well,
But
he's not small. It's just that he has a
long.
long frame,
He's
sort of
long.
like
That's what
Zach
I mean.
Taylor, who used to play for the Miami Dolphins,
Right. I
and
understand
he's
that.
very powerful, strong man.
Right. When I say small, I don't mean small like he can't handle the physicalness of the game. What I'm saying is he's long, so he doesn't give the appearance of a big muscular guy.
More
Okay,
wiry? Would
but
you
he
say
is
more
strong.
wiry?
Excuse me.
More wiry in his
Yes,
build?
wiry was the word I was about to use. That is correct. Those kind of guys are extremely difficult to block when they're coming off the edge with a lot of speed. Okay, but I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to diminish his strength in any way, because I'm not. The guy is strong and he can play. Okay, well, we'll see about that. But where we are now is at number 12 with your beloved Philadelphia Eagles, and you should be extremely happy because I am predicting that the Eagles will take Jalen Waddle, wide receiver, out of Alabama. Are you not happy about that?
Pitts is 1A and Jalen Waddle is 2B.
Pitts is
So
gone, bro.
I have no choice but to take Jalen Waddle. The only problem is something leaked out of the NovaCare Center about 3 days ago, and they were saying that they were experimenting and moving Jalen Reagor to the slot. Now, that changes things.
Holy crap.
Because even though Waddle can play on the outside, I believe he's a better slot player. And he does special teams, so that's a plus. He checks off all the boxes, and he's fast. So maybe they're trying to throw a smoke screen up so they don't want people to think that they're going to get Jalen Waddle, because most of the snaps were out of the slot. So now they're telling teams they're going to move Reagor into the slots, thinking that other teams might think we'll select another player. Because I know the kid from LSU, what's his name, Marshall? His name's been popping up lately.
Oh, his
And
name's gonna
I
pop
think he's
up.
like a third-string wide receiver in my book.
Yeah, his name's going to be popping up.
Let me mention, just real quick, came up on my phone, Bleacher Reports reporting that the Eagles are re-signing Jordan Howard and that they're signing Eric Wilson, former Vikings linebacker. So Eagles are busy as we speak. They're doing things. All right. Los Angeles Chargers.
Los Angeles Chargers. Okay. So Mr. Herbert came out of nowhere and thrilled everybody. He especially helped me in fantasy football. I love him. So why not reward my man with another wide receiver? Let's face it. Keenan Allen is a great player. Mike Williams is a really good player, but Mike Williams, I believe, is on the last year of his contract. They got to get another weapon from Mr. Herbert. Hence, they go wide receiver. I think they will take Elijah Moore. Now, let's remember, this is a very rich wide receiver class, okay? There's a lot of receivers out here. We can mix and match guys all day long and argue back and forth, okay? But I'm going to make a decision here, and I'm going to say Elijah Moore from Ole Miss goes to the Los Angeles Chargers at number 13. A receiver is the pick that they should make. At number 14, the Minnesota Vikings, they got to get an offensive tackle. Yes, the Vikings need defense. Yes, they do. But they also have a pretty dynamic running game and a wide receiver in Justin Jefferson who has proved that he can get downfield and make plays. You got to keep Kirk Cousins clean. I think they'll go with one of the top offensive tackles in the draft, and that's Dylan Raduns from North Dakota State, the same school. This guy just got finished blocking for Trey Lance, okay? So they had a chance to look at him work. He's 6'6", 299. You don't normally see numbers like that for an offensive tackle. Very tall, but again, like we were talking about Phillips, the edge rusher, he's long, okay? Probably has extremely long arms. What do you know? Do you know anything about him, Donald?
Well, the only guy that I was actually watching some film of the other day was Talvin Johnson, who's about 6'6", 6'7", 300 pounds. And he plays offensive tackle. And the only one that gave – okay, the only guy that gave him trouble was Ronnie Perkins, the edge rusher from Oklahoma. But I'm thinking that they're going to go offensive line and protect Herbert even more.
Yeah, no, I'm doing the Vikings now. We're talking about protecting.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think they'll go offensive line.
Okay. Yeah, I think they'll go offensive line also. I think this guy's pretty intriguing right here. North Dakota State, obviously, if he blocked for Trey Lance, he's a good pass blocker, which is what
you're talking about Dylan, right?
I'm talking about Dylan Raduns.
Okay, yes, I like him.
Okay. Great size for a tackle. 6'6", 299. He's got to have long arms. I don't have his measurements.
Yes.
But I like
definitely.
Him. Okay. So now, after all the speculation about the New England Patriots moving up, and let's face it, that could still happen. As far as my mock is concerned, they can stay right where they are at number 15 and still get Mac Jones. I believe that they signed Cam Newton to one more year. Number one, because they like him. But number two, because they need somebody to hold down the fort until they can get a new quarterback in there, their quarterback of the future, and get him prepped and ready to go, okay? And I think that Mac Jones is the guy that they want. I don't believe they will have to trade up to get him. I could be wrong, okay? But I don't think they're going to have to trade up to get him. I think Mac Jones is sitting right there at number 15 for them. Now, I know you like Mac Jones, right, Don?
Yeah, I like him a lot, but I also heard that yeah, kind of, because Trey Lance, if you notice, or if anyone has talked to you about him before prior to me, was he only played 1 year. He only has 1 year's worth of tape on him.
Okay.
So that might be interesting to some teams. But the thing about Mac Jones is I think New England is interested in him, and that would be a good pick. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure.
First of all, you can't say you don't know, because you know New England needs a quarterback. Are we correct on that? We agree on that?
Yes.
So if it comes to the 15th pick in the draft and New England is up and Mac Jones is there, they're crazy not to take him, correct?
That is true.
Oh, okay. All right. I want to make sure we're on the same page here. Now,
but I was saying Mac Jones is going to go to San Francisco.
Right.
There's a lot of mock drafts that are saying that he's going to San Francisco, and there's a lot of reasoning behind it.
I'm with you. So guess what? If Mac Jones goes to the Niners, who's sitting there at 15? Trey Lance.
I don't know about that.
The Patriots take Trey Lance?
I don't know. Just because
That's a possibility.
just because the Niners don't take him.
That's a possibility. Everybody else is going with mobile quarterbacks.
Barry, scroll back up. There's a lot of teams that just went between the Niners and where we are now that don't need quarterbacks.
One of these quarterbacks is going to fall, and you know it.
Somebody's falling, bro. It's either Lance, Jones, or Fields. One of them is falling. For sure.
Yeah, well, all right, let's move on. Number 16.
I love it. I love it. Arizona Cardinals, number 16. When the Cardinals go on the clock, guess what? Bro, they got Nuke. Larry Fitzgerald just retired. Christian Kirk is kind of okay. They grabbed AJ Green. Hopefully he bounces back. It's tough to have a good year the first year after you come back off of a knee injury. So AJ Green still should have some life left in him. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. You need that third guy. And that third guy, I think, will be Rashad Bateman from Minnesota. A really good route runner. Good size. 6'2", 209 is really good size for a wide receiver. Okay? I love Rashad Bateman. And if he goes to the Cardinals, Kyler Murray is going to be extremely happy.
I wonder who he's going to bump because the kid has magnetic hands. He runs great routes. He's very fast. And he actually fights for the ball. There's some receivers just go up for the ball. He fights for the ball. So he's hungry. I think it's a great pick.
He's going to bump Christian Kirk. He's going to bump Christian Kirk as the third receiver right off the bat. And if AJ Green doesn't get himself together, guess what? He'll be on the other side, outside with Hopkins. So.
Well, that's fair. You know what? That pick is very interesting, and I agree with you totally because I had J.C. Horn going to the Cardinals.
A D-back. That's interesting. Yep. That's interesting. But I think that they're really trying to settle Kyler in. They believe that Kyler Murray can be a really great NFL quarterback. So they're going to go all out to give him as many weapons as they can. And the move with Hopkins.
And they're not settling that running back. Remember that. I think they're going running back in the second round.
Yeah, they probably will go running back in the second round. I'm pretty sure. All right. So at number 17, the Las Vegas Raiders. Looks like they're sold on Mr. Carr for now. I don't think they're going to be looking to get a quarterback, especially in the first round. They won't. So we got to protect Mr. Carr, and we have to make sure that we have running lanes for Josh Jacobs. So they go offensive tackle. I like Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State. Huge dude, 6'6", 320. Strong run blocker. Proved himself as a really strong run blocker. His pass blocking, I don't know a whole lot about. I didn't look at a lot of tape on Tevin Jenkins, but he's definitely a good run blocker. So I think the Raiders go there.
Yeah, that's the guy I was talking about earlier that I thought the San Diego Chargers would pick. Okay. But you know what? He looks just like a Raider. He's tough. He's nasty. Mm-hmm. And like I said, only one player I saw on film beat him. And that's Ronnie Perkins from Oklahoma, the edge rusher. Okay. Everybody else he eliminated. He pancaked them, and he just manhandles people. Left and right, got a long arm reach, great punch. You know, he's quick with his feet. For a guy his size, he's very athletic.
Okay, wonderful. Number 18, Miami Dolphins. Here's a guy I know you love, Donald. I hope I'm saying his name right. Jeremiah Owusu Karamu, okay? He's a linebacker by trade out of Notre Dame. This guy played linebacker. He also played slot corner, okay? He has great coverage skills and probably translate to safety in the NFL at 6'1", 215, okay? I think the Dolphins.
Oh, I got some great notes on him.
Yeah, the Dolphins will be licking their chops to get a guy like this on their defense, man. I'm telling you. They got to be
6'1".
And you know the Dolphins are almost exclusively a man-to-man defense. They'll love this dude. What do you got, Don?
6'1", 221 pounds, ran a 4.4 in the 40-yard dash, and he has above average vertical. Okay? Like you said, and I agree, he played a lot of slot for Notre Dame over the slot receiver, can play strong safety, free safety. He's like Honey Badger, but he hits harder than Honey Badger. He's like a joker. He can play all over the field, sideline to sideline, great tackler, sheds blocks with speed, and creates angles toward the ball. In other words, some guys are fast in this draft, but their angles are screwed up, and they can't make the tackle. They end up making assists on the tackle.
Right.
This guy finds his way around blocks, and, off of 221 pounds. I mean, that's great. He's going against guys that are 300 pounds. He knows how to angle around them and make the tackle. So he's excellent in the pass and the run, and I can see him playing maybe 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage as a third safety, coming up, making a hit.
That's for those people out there who really fall over themselves about these guys running 4.4s and 4.3s, and they think speed is everything. There is a little bit more to it, especially on the defensive side. This guy finds his way through blockers to make tackles, not just jump on the pile and get assists. So that's important, okay? Where are we at here? Number 20? Number 19. Number 19 goes to the Washington football team. And the Washington football team, oh, yeah, didn't they just grab Ryan Fitzpatrick? And from what I'm hearing, Ryan Fitzpatrick is not going to just be handed the job. So the young man that played in his name is getting away from me, the quarterback. There's supposed to be an actual true quarterback competition in Washington. But whoever wins the job is going to need another target on offense. And that's where they're going to go to Florida to get Kadarius Toney. He's 5'11", 194, real good speed. Mostly played in the slot, extremely explosive. Ran a lot of fly sweeps down in Florida and was very effective with that. He's a good yak guy. Yeah, I like Kadarius Toney. Very explosive, very fast, big-time playmaker.
So, Ben, are you trying to say Taylor Heineke is going to give Ryan Fitzpatrick some competition?
Yes. Heineke, no, I'm not saying he's going to give him competition. What I'm saying is the head coach announced ahead of time that there will be a true quarterback competition between Heineke and Fitzpatrick. They're not just going to hand him the job.
Okay, all right.
They were impressed. They were impressed with Heineke.
Heineke did pretty well, man. He did pretty well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he did. Before we move on to number 20 again, I do want to mention that this is Ben and Barry on football. You can find us at www.benandbarryonfootball.com. You can find us every Friday from 6 to 7:30 at WJRL953.com. That's an online radio show, and on our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as a plethora of social media. All right, everybody caught their breath now? You guys got to the sideline? Got your water?
I'm ready, man. Let's go.
All right, let's go. Number 20.
Okay, number 20 pick belongs to the Chicago Bears. Now, here's another interesting guy. And this, if you'll notice, well, first of all, his name is Elijah Vera Tucker, okay? Now, as you'll notice, some of the offensive linemen that have gone before him, I've listed as an actual offensive tackle. This guy is listed as an offensive lineman. The reason for that is because he has already played tackle and he has played guard. He's been successful at both. He's at USC. He's got good size, 6'4", 315 pounds. Now, the only knock on him, and it's not really a knock, is, again, he's one of the guys that kind of doesn't have the prototypical long arms, okay? So he's a short arm guy, which means he'll probably translate to guard in the NFL. But he's proven to be a good enough pass blocker at USC for them to have used him at tackle also, okay? So Elijah Vera Tucker is the pick in Chicago to protect Andy Dalton, the new quarterback there. You got anything on him, Donald?
Yeah, I think he was going to be selected earlier, but because of this quarterback and wide receiver thing, a lot of these offensive linemen got pushed down the board. They say this guy is really good. You know what I mean? And I think he's actually better than Jenkins because he can play guard and tackle, and he's much faster. He has the arm length. He has power. He can play up and down that offensive line. I think I read something about he can play left guard and right guard and offensive tackle. So he's more versatile than Jenkins. This is why I thought he would get selected earlier. Maybe to the San Diego Chargers or someone else that picked the offensive tackle earlier. I think he's going to fly off the board. But it sounds like a good pick if Chicago picks him up.
Yeah, if the Bears can get him, I think that'd be a gem for them. Okay, now we're getting to some of my favorite, I don't even want to call them sleepers, but these are players that I really, really like that seem to have found their way down to the bottom part of the first round. The Indianapolis Colts pick for need, and that need I think they're going to fill very well with Kwity Paye, who is an edge rusher out of Michigan. 6'4", 271. Boy, I'll tell you, there's a lot of back and forth about who the best edge rushers in this particular draft are going to be, but you won't hear three names without Kwity Paye being one of those names, okay? 6'4", 271 is really good size. The big thing I think is the Colts need an edge rusher. The Colts, for as good as their defense was, their pass rush was lacking. They got DeForest Buckner. He was an ex-49er, right, Barry?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so they got him on the inside. He pushes the pocket really well, okay? But they just didn't have that real speed off the edge. So I think they go with Kwity Paye off the edge. That's who I like the Colts to get. They got to go defense, no problem, no question. Boom, 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 boom. Where we at? Tennessee Titans. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about the Tennessee Titans probably in another segment, something that's making me laugh. But right now, again, we're looking at a need pick. The Tennessee Titans let their tight end, Jonnu Smith, go in free agency. They also let Corey Davis go in free agency. I love their wide receiver, A.J. Brown. Absolutely love him. But Corey Davis is coming off of his best season ever, and now he's gone. So guess what? You got to replace him. Terrence Marshall Jr. is a wide receiver out of, oh, look at that, LSU. Okay? LSU. 6'3", 201. Good speed. Good route runner. Plays mostly in the slot. Extremely good on vertical routes. Just what the Titans need. I think they grab him there. Now, there's other receivers that could go in his place. But I like Terrence Marshall as a good fit for the Titans. Would you agree with that, Donald?
I got a trade alert.
Uh-oh.
I got a trade alert if the Philadelphia Eagles can convince the the Tennessee Titans
wait. If you say
can
kick
take
the
a
Vince,
pick,
alert.
can take a pick, say maybe a 3rd round pick next year, a 4th round pick this year, and Zach Ertz to move up in that position. I like Rondell Moore, wide receiver, Purdue.
Bruh, you said alert like you was the black Adam Schefter.
I believe we're going to trade up. If we don't trade down to Atlanta or trade back, then that's the only option is to pick somebody in the 1st round and then take some picks in the 2nd and 4th round or 3rd and 4th round and move back up into the 1st round. I believe the Eagles have those 3 options.
And after
I guarantee they're moving. I guarantee the Eagles are moving. They're not sitting at 12. Or the 3rd scenario is if they take a player and a couple picks and move back into the 1st round. And that would be key because, like you said,
okay,
they lost their tight ends. They really don't have a tight end.
okay, but you said Rondell Moore. Now, if things go the way I said they would go, who did I say they would get? Was receiver, wasn't it?
You said Jalen
right.
Waddle earlier.
So, right.
Exactly.
So wait. If they get Waddle, why would they trade back up into the 1st round to take Rondell Moore?
We need all the weapons we can get. I like 2-way players. Listen, hear me out. I love 2-way players on offense and defense. If you could play the slot, if you could play the outside, if you could play special teams. Our special teams has not been good ever since we won the Super Bowl. And lately, it's been stinking up the house. So if you have players that can play all 3 positions, X, Y, and Z, and special teams, the more the better.
Okay. I hear you. That's straight from the Eagles' nest. Let's move on. And now we're getting to some players I know you like, Donald. So at number 23, the New York Jets. They need defensive help, obviously. Greg Newsome II, a cornerback out of Northwestern. Obviously good size here, 6'1", 190. Supposedly, he's a very good zone coverage type of corner. I know that Robert Saleh ran a very almost exclusively zone defense when he was with the Niners. I will assume that being the head coach, he will bring that same or those same defensive concepts over to the Jets. So Greg Newsome seems to fit here because he played mostly zone defense in college at Missouri. At Northwestern. Not only is he a good zone coverage guy, but he has great closing speed, closing skills, okay? So even if he's playing in off coverage, when the ball is thrown, he closes quickly, gets knockdowns, gets pickoffs, makes tackles. So I think he's a good fit for the New York Jets in their defense. Another team that needs defense is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are picking at number 24. They lost a couple of linebackers, so they're going to want to plug in another one. I believe that Nick Bolton kind of fits their mold there. He's out of Missouri at 6 feet tall, 231 pounds. Supposedly, from what I've heard, he processes plays very quickly, picks his way through blockers like that other gentleman that Donald talked about earlier. And when he gets there, he makes massive hits. This guy is a big, bad banger when it comes to linebacking play. Vicious against the run game. If you don't get him blocked, he will devastate your running back. Would you agree with that, Donald? You got anything else on him?
Yeah, he's definitely going to be late in the 1st round, maybe early 2nd round. He's a downhill slugger. I mean, he goes north to south, sheds blocks, plays some in coverage, and an excellent tackler, just like you said.
Okay, that's wonderful. All right, number 25, Jacksonville Jaguars. Trayvon Moehrig, also known as Trayvon Moehrig Woodard. I'm sure we'll hear something about that after he gets drafted. He seems to have taken on another family member as part of his last name. I don't know the story on that, but through college, I believe he was known as Trayvon Moehrig, so we'll go with that. He is a safety out of TCU. Excuse me. Again, pretty good size D-backs coming out this year. No more of those 5'9", 5'10" guys. This guy's 6'2", 203 pounds. Some people are projecting him as the number one safety, and I'll tell you the truth, I don't think I mentioned any other safeties so far in this mock. So I will agree that he's the number one safety in this class, and just being the top ranked safety, obviously the Jacksonville Jaguars have a lot of holes to fill, so he should fit in with them pretty nicely. I think that's a good pick for them. 26, we got the Cleveland Browns. Here's another one of your favorite players, Donald. And Barry, I think this is a good guy for you too. Jason Owe, an edge rusher out of Penn State. He's 6'5", 257, and he ran a 4.36 40 at his draft day. He's being called a physical freak. What you got on him? Anybody?
The guy is a freak. I mean, that speed, that height, that weight coming off the edge is going to be somebody's nightmare. I can also see him in a 3-4 outside linebacker coming off the edge like that too.
Yeah, I
Shooting
agree.
into the flat, covering the flat, tight end, running back coming out the backfield. I think he would fit perfect in a 3-4.
I agree. I have to check and see what's the Cleveland Browns base defense to see if he really fits there. But I like him for them. Either way, coming off the edge.
But you notice they had when they had Avery, who's a Philadelphia Eagle now. When they had Avery, he was a little smaller than him and shorter than him. They used him at defensive end for Cleveland. Then when he came to the Philadelphia Eagles for this year, we're using him at outside linebacker.
Okay.
So, but we run a 4-3. So it should be interesting that if they do run a 3-4 in Cleveland, he's definitely going to have he's not going to have his hands in the dirt. He's coming high and hard.
Yeah, I agree. But either way they use him, hand in the dirt or 2-point stands, I think this guy's going to make a lot of noise. So be looking forward to seeing that. At number 27, the Baltimore Ravens. I'll tell you now, I know people like the Ravens. I know people like Lamar Jackson. I know people make a lot of predictions about the Ravens really, getting to a Super Bowl and making noise in the playoffs and all this stuff. Those things haven't happened. They need help on defense. I see them going edge rusher with my man Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia. Now, I heard some things about him. Most of them are about his amazing first step, his amazing snap anticipation, and his flat-out speed, okay? He's 6'3", 240, so he's not small, but coming off the edge, the kid is pretty tough. He plays in the SEC, so he's been up against some of the best offensive tackles in the business. What you got anything on him, Don?
Hey, he's quick coming off the edge. He can play in the 3-4, 4-3. His first couple of steps are extremely fast. He can go sideline to sideline. He can definitely do some damage. He's actually faster than Joseph Osea from Texas, who's a pretty big kid, but this kid from Georgia, he's definitely special. But I actually had Xavier Collins. He's 6'4", 260. He could play the mic, he could play the edge, he could play the rover. He ran a 4.6 in the 40. I
Wow.
mean, 6'4", 260.
Wow.
They said that he's another Ray Lewis. That's why I thought he might be going to the Ravens.
Okay. Well, guess what? There's a really good chance that could happen. Again.
Oh, he's out of Tulsa, University of Tulsa.
Tulsa, right. And I just want to remind people, I know, and Donald knows what teams need. But when a team has several needs, then if we're going to make up a mock draft list, it's up to us to determine the best player on the board to fill the need or one of the needs that they have. So
agree.
Yes. So if I say Aziz Ojulari is going to fill their edge rush need, but they decide to go with another guy, if it's a guy that plays the same position, guess what? That's the Baltimore Ravens choice or any other team. Okay. But that's how we distinguish it. That's why we're giving it the way that we
I think they had a problem last year. I wanted to see him blitz more, but Harbaugh didn't really blitz that much with the Ravens. So I think he would fit better with a team that blitzes versus run stopping. Is Jalen Collins is written all on a run stopper.
Here's the thing, and this is one of my personal things that I talk to Barry about all the time. The Ravens are kind of a run-centric, short pass, tight end-centric type of offense, okay? So the type of team that gives them trouble is the team that puts the ball in the air a lot and scores quickly, gets them behind so they have trouble coming back. So you need to have pass rushers. You need to be able to put the other quarterback under duress. So that's why I'm saying edge rusher is a big deal for them. And I think they go edge rusher in the first round. So.
All right, guys, guess what? There's only 5 teams left. But the teams at the bottom of the draft are your best teams generally, right? So we're going to talk about the 5 best. We just want to make that break real quick and remind people this is Ben and Barry on Football. You can find us at www.benandbarryonfootball.com, on Spotify Podcasts and Apple Podcasts, and on Fridays on the radio at WJRL 953.com. All right, we got that little piece there. You ready to do the final 5, guys?
Yes, sir.
Guys, their needs are, these are a little. They have to be a little less if they've been winning as much as they've been winning. So, very specific here. So, where we at?
I think we're with New Orleans.
Saints, New Orleans.
Okay, so the funny thing is, these are not gimmies. Okay, these teams have needs too, even though they've been great teams initially over the last few years. Take, for instance, the New Orleans Saints. They cut my man Jackrabbit Jenkins.
Yes, they did.
They released my man. And then Lattimore, who's one of the best cornerbacks in the league, if not the best, got a gun charge.
Right.
All of a sudden, they need a cornerback. Guess where they're going? Eagle fans. Asante Samuel Jr. From Florida State. 5'10".
Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
That hurts? Why? You wanted Asante for the Eagles? You wanted
I was hoping that he was going to drop in the second round.
Guess what? That's a possibility, Donald. It could happen. It could happen. There's still a lot of good corners out there, okay? But you know me. I look at the need, and then I go for the guy that I think fits. And I think Asante Samuel fits that. I do. I just – he's very instinctual. He moves really well. He can play man. He can play zone. He's a little undersized. That's the only thing. He's 5'10", 183, so he's a little undersized. But, hey, I think that'd be a good move for them.
Hey, Donald. Hey, Donald.
Yes.
I just got a call from Asante Samuel Jr. He's like, I don't want no second round contract, buddy.
It's his size. That's why he dropped. But what's interesting is, I have 5 players on my notes that are bigger, taller, just as fast as him that will be in the second round. So I'm okay. I thought they were going to do his father a favor and bring him back to Philadelphia.
Hey, that could still happen. Donald's all business, ain't he? He's all business.
Well, you know something? Considering that what the Eagles still have Howie and the same owner, there might be some level of sentimentality there, but not much.
I tell you what.
He actually made a statement 2 years ago. He said that he wanted to look at homegrown talent. So I'm thinking that he wanted to select players that were from Philadelphia. But I haven't seen it happen yet. And this is why I've actually checked out some of the college players that are from Philadelphia that actually really did good on their prominent teams. And some players are rather interesting, along with Kyle Pitts.
And there's, yes, Kyle Pitts is from Philadelphia, and there's some more coming. And I don't get me started. Jeremiah Trotter's son is coming. Marvin Harrison's son is coming. Okay. But these kids are just now going into college. So guess what? I don't even know why I'm talking about this, because Howie ain't going to be here that long. Anyway, moving on. Number 29, Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers, yes, they need defensive help. It's funny, we were talking earlier, and Barry and Donald were going over our net point power ranking scheme, and the Packers happen to be used as an example for points for and points against and all that stuff. Obviously, we know the Packers can score points, but they have a little bit of trouble stopping points getting scored. So they're going to need a defensive lineman, and this is a true defensive lineman here. I have them down for taking Christian Barmore out of Alabama. Most people will say, hey, you take an Alabama player in the first round, you can't go wrong. 6'5", 311, got him down as a D lineman because, again, he can play tackle and he can play guard. What am I saying? Jeez, I'm mixing him up with another guy. He is a defensive lineman who can play tackle and defensive end. Oh, sorry about that. 6'5", 311 is nothing to sneeze at. This guy has proven that he can play both. He can push the pocket and he can rush the edge.
I got something on him.
What do you got on him? What do you got on Barmore? I actually like Barmore.
They said he's exactly like Fletcher Cox.
Okay.
He's an A+. He can rush the passer. He can stuff the run, and he's another Philadelphia guy.
Okay, there you go. You know what high school he went to?
No, I don't.
Okay. I was just wondering. All right. Number 30. 30th pick. The Buffalo Bills, one of my favorite teams to watch. Here's your guy, Donald. Jalen Phillips, edge rusher out of Miami, 6'5", 266. Go ahead and praise him.
Hey, like I said, he reminds me of Zach Taylor, the Miami Dolphins back in the day. This guy likes to crush people. He got bad intentions when he's coming off that edge. All the film that I checked out, he literally tries to hurt the person who has the ball. See ball, get ball. That's his attitude. And I've seen him push offensive tackles around. He has a long reach, heavy, violent hands, big punch. He's coming at you.
All right.
The only thing is the concussions. If he can pass on the medical and knock down those red flags, he's a first rounder to me.
Okay. Very nice. At the 31st pick.
Ben.
Yes.
Before you go on, you were asking about Christian Barmore.
Yes.
I have it here that he was a freshman at Abraham Lincoln but then he transferred to St. John Newman and Maria Goretti Catholic High School.
Okay.
Wow, wow, that's deep. He was in the public league. That's great.
He started in the pub, baby.
Not many people go from the pub to the Catholic League, though. That's unusual.
Not nowadays. It's not. Newman Goretti's got a pretty good program.
Okay.
Basketball and football. Yeah, they're nice. Them, St. Joe Prep. Those are the schools the kids are going to now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben, I want you to name me how many fields does Lincoln High School have?
How many fields?
Yeah.
Like 3, right?
No, I think they got like 4 or 5 fields.
No.
Cadet, junior varsity, and they got a practice, and they got their where they play their games at. They got the stadium. At least that's how it was when I was, playing for West.
Yeah, well, they got a football field, they got a soccer field, they got a baseball field.
They got all that. Great coaching staff, nice locker rooms.
Yeah, when you're from the hood and you're going up there to the Northeast to play, and you get off the bus, you go, wow. I remember my first time going to Frankfurt, believe it or not. That football field actually looked like a stadium to us back in the day. The big brick walls, remember that? You ever go play at Frankfurt?
I never played at Frankfurt.
Bro, their field, when you're a little high school kid, looks like a stadium, like an old college stadium. Big brick walls surround the whole place. But anyway, I digress. We're at the Kansas City Chiefs. I know there's a lot of Chiefs fans out there.
ICOT?
Yeah, I made it really clear in last week's show that I believe the Kansas City Chiefs have to go offensive line. I still say that. There is no doubt in my mind that they will go offensive line. My pick for them is Sam Cosmi. He's 6'7", 309. Now, think about it. 6'7", 309. This is not a bulky guy, but he's a very big guy. Also, he's a 3-year starter at Texas. Pretty run-centric team, okay? He's very experienced, and he's proven to be a strong pass blocker. So I like him for them. And let's face it, their 2 starting tackles were injured last year. They were not able to get back in time for the Super Bowl. After they lost the Super Bowl, a lot of people said, hey, if those 2 guys had been there, it might have been different. And then they turn around and released both of them. So they got to go offensive line. That's the guy I picked for them, Sam Cosmi.
I totally agree with that pick. He reminds me a little bit of Lane Johnson, a healthier guy who's fast on his feet, who can actually get around and make hits against the edge rushers and keep the quarterback clean.
Okay, excellent. So he would work out well with Kansas City then.
Yes, he certainly will.
Absolutely.
So it seems Kansas City was looking at the draft when they was deciding to let those tackles go, eh?
And that's a good possibility. I think they probably did the same thing that we're doing now and tried to map out the draft and see if there would be.
Yeah, they're definitely going younger.
Yeah, and see if they could see if they believe that a quality offensive lineman would drop to them at number 31. And they were satisfied that there would be enough talent there to help them so that they wouldn't have to trade up or use any draft picks to get a particular guy. I don't think they need any particular guy. So they should be happy with this guy. If he falls to them, I think that's a wonderful thing. Last but not least, at number 32, the last pick in the first round, the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers take one of my brother's favorite wide receivers coming out of Purdue, Rondale Moore, 5'9", 181. Not a real big guy, but a really good athlete. Probably his best asset is his yards after catch, kind of like a Deebo Samuel kind of guy, Barry. Very impressive in that. Now, one of the sticking points is because of the way the Purdue offense ran, he didn't necessarily run the entire route tree. That doesn't mean he can't do it. That doesn't mean he's not a good route runner. What do you say about that, Donald?
Well, the routes that I saw him run, he ran quite a few routes, different routes. And when he puts his foot in the ground and he comes out of his breaks, he does it violently. So he doesn't bend his route. He comes out of it where he's actually shaking that defender off of him. And then with his speed, nobody can catch him. So the guy knows what he's doing.
Okay.
And like I said, punt returns, kickoff returns, that's just extra.
Yeah, I agree with something that you said earlier, Donald. I would not be surprised if Rondale Moore goes way earlier than this because he's so extremely versatile, okay? Even if he didn't run the whole route tree, the routes that he ran, he was precise with them. He caught the ball, and he got yards after catch. And
there's a lot of explosion coming out of his breaks.
That's
his hips are fluid, and you don't know which way the guy is going because he comes out of his breaks so fast when he's running routes, especially if he's doing double moves. So whoever's covering him is going to have a problem.
That stuff is extremely important. And then you add on the fact that he can return kicks. That makes him a valuable commodity. So if we see Rondale Moore go earlier in this draft, don't be surprised. And that basically wraps it up for us.
Well, I'll just add to that. On Ben and Barry Facebook page, we did post the 3 fastest pro day 40 times. And Rondale Moore was number 3 at a 4.29.
Holy crap.
Yes.
So,
burning the track up.
Woo, man, that's moving. And that was third. That was third.
Somebody gave me a golden nugget about Chase, saying that he was faster than Hopkins during his pro day, faster than Jefferson during his pro day, and it was another wide receiver that's really good in the NFL right now. He's faster than him. So Jamar Chase has a faster 40 time of some
no joke, fellas.
NFL pros. I mean,
Jamar Chase is no joke. People fell over themselves when Justin Jefferson got cooking last year. Okay. Jamar Chase was the hands down number 1 receiver at LSU when him and Jefferson were both there catching passes from Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase is for real.
That's right. He's for real.
All right. Well, that wraps up the Dickerson Brothers Mock Draft 2.0. I guess next week we'll have 3.0. You don't use fractions? You don't go 3.1, 2.5?
Because Donald said that somebody's going to entice Atlanta to trade that number 4 pick. They trade that number 4 pick, that changes everything.
All right. Well, you have to get people to stay tuned.
It also changes the picks in the second round if the Eagles pull that off.
Oh, look, he's dying to get to the second round.
He wishes he could get to the second round. Maybe one day we'll do a second round show just for that. So forth. All right. Good enough. All right, so next up on Ben and Barry on football, we want to take a look at something I thought was a little interesting and a little weird at the same time. Because you know, the season has been expanded to 17 games. The NFL has posted the matchups for week 17 of the upcoming season. However, as you can see in the writing, interesting that they have not published the rest of the schedule yet. So we don't know what the schedule is leading up to this. We do know what the matchups are because we posted what the matchups would be on Ben and Barry on football. But I just want to look at this week 17 and kind of just imagine a little bit where the season could be. So let's look, for example, at the first one here. This first matchup, I see Green Bay and Kansas City. Now, first of all, I can't wait for it.
Wow.
I can't wait. I want to see that one right away. But the scary part is, if both of these teams are already clinched by week 17, we're not going to see Mahomes. We're not going to see Aaron. We're going to see the second strings and all of that. But you never know. It could be a dogfight at that particular point. Week 17 could mean something to these teams. So just muse for a second. What do you think could be happening with these two teams come week 17?
All right. First of all, am I crazy, or am I right to be thinking that if we go to a 17 game season, that there will actually be an 18-week schedule?
Yes, I believe that you're not crazy.
Your bye weeks.
Going to work out because you still got your bye weeks. None of that changed.
Right. So week 17 this season will be like week 16 last season.
Now, Ben, before you go too far with that, okay, this could be, I'm saying week 17. Now, maybe this could just be the 17th game.
Yes, that's what I believe it will be.
Okay, so it could be week 18, but it could be the 17th game for these teams.
They said week 7, but you threw in the caveat that things might be locked up by then. I say maybe they won't be.
Okay, so what do you think might happen here?
Because guess what? This could be a preview of your Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah, good.
Okay? And I don't think that things are going to be necessarily all locked up by then. And even if they are, the teams may want to show their best against this type of competition. Okay? If Green Bay is a game up on Tampa Bay in the NFC, if they have a chance to get to an NFC championship game against Tampa Bay, or they're higher seeded, they're not going to be messing around with a game like this. Okay? So now, what do you want to do with this game? You want me to pick winners?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Do?
If you think. I was just thinking about the situations, like what all the different situations could possibly be, kind of muse about what these teams could be doing. Because you're absolutely right. They could be in a dog fight. They could be in a situation where they really still want to compete.
Yeah.
Or they could have already clinched everything and they don't have that need.
Well, here's the thing. Because it's at the end of the season, then the main situation that you talk about is just that. Who has things clinched? Who has a playoff spot clinched? Who has home field advantage clinched? We have no way of knowing any of that. But that's the most important factor in how these particular games play out.
All right. So what do you like that matchup? You looking forward to that one?
I love that matchup if it was week 10.
Yeah, if it was week 10.
But if it's week 17, I don't know.
Not sure. All right, let's look at the next one. The Bears, the Chicago Bears, and the LA Raiders.
This is more interesting. I think these two teams will probably both have something to play hard for. A playoff spot, home field advantage, a higher seed, whatever. Okay? This could be one heck of a game. And considering how things are right now, and draft positioning and blah, blah, blah. You want me to pick a winner? I can pick a winner right now.
Uh-oh, go ahead.
I pick the Bears.
Okay. Donald, what do you think?
Well, I'm kind of like looking at all this from another angle. First of all, I noticed all the NFC teams are playing somebody from the AFC, which is very interesting. Second of all, a guy from my job told me to run this past you guys. He was saying, How many teams, and Barry, you probably could do this and you probably would love to do it. How many teams have that extra game at home versus the teams that don't have that extra game at home? In other words, say you're doing pretty good at home and you win a lot of home games. Well, the Philadelphia Eagles only have 8 at home and 9 on the road. So getting down to the last game of the season might make a difference if you're trying to make the playoffs or if you're trying to get home field advantage. Can you find out how many teams actually have 9 games at home, which might benefit them if they're playing good at home?
Yeah, we actually have that probably. Well, not we have that on our page. I just have to find it, and because I listed all of there's an article that listed all of the matchups, home and away. So we can actually take a look and figure that out. So yeah, I can get that, and we'll talk
That
about.
might make a difference. That might make a difference when it comes down to seeding for the playoffs.
All right, guys. So look here. So next we talked a little bit about Green Bay, Kansas City, a little bit about the Cowboys against the Raiders, the Vikings, and the Chargers. So we're talking about Kirk Cousins and Herbert, the new wonder child, in the game 17. And I don't know. I'm feeling the Chargers next year, man. I don't know. What do you think?
I think the Chargers make a big push next year, and the Vikings, if they don't get themselves together in this draft and free agency now, are not going to have as much success as they're going to need to make a big push next year. If I had to pick this game right now, which is crazy for us to even be doing this, but that's the fun of it, I would take the Chargers.
What about you, Donald?
I think it's going to be depend upon the Vikings draft. I mean, if they have a poor draft or they don't really address certain needs on defense, I can see the Chargers pulling that game off.
No doubt, no doubt. Okay. Now the Vikings and the Lions are kind of in the same situation besides being in the same division. But this time you're talking about playing the Broncos. So Drew, what's his name again? I always forget his name. Drew Lock. And then potentially, what are they talking about? Justin Fields?
I said that. That's what I said.
That's what you said. All right, what's the rest of the world saying for the Broncos, Donald?
The rest of the world saying they pick defense.
They're going defense? Okay. All right. So who you like in this game?
Go ahead, Donald.
They'll probably beat they'll probably beat them.
Who beat who?
If Justin Fields is playing for Denver, they'll probably beat Detroit.
So you're saying that if my mock draft actually comes true for the Denver Broncos and they draft Justin Fields, that he will have a at least somewhat successful season and will beat the Detroit Lions.
That's right.
I agree with you.
You like that, don't you, Benny?
Yes, I do.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, look at this one.
This is an intriguing matchup, fellas. Yeah, the Steelers and the Seahawks. Where will the relationship between Russell and the Seahawks be by the final game of the season? And where will Big Ben be? Because this is his swan song, right? This is his exit. This is his big time. Get the championship now and walk out like a well, let me see. Who last won a championship, a Super Bowl, and then retired? Peyton?
Peyton Manning?
Quarterback? Last did that?
So.
I think it's probably Peyton. So what do you think?
There's no way Big Ben's going to win another Super Bowl, first of all.
Oh.
Second of all, the Seahawks have already tried to make amends with Russell Wilson. They just signed Tyler Lockett to a big deal, and they're going to be working on their defense. Two things I want you to notice. They might mean something, They might not mean anything, okay? But if you remember, we went through our mock draft. Did you hear me say the Seattle Seahawks name?
No.
Know why? Because they don't have a first-round pick.
Ooh.
Did you hear me name any running backs getting drafted?
Poor running backs.
No.
We're going to have a
Guess
talk
what?
about that.
Guess what? Guess what? Seahawks going to make some noise in the draft. They're going to reinforce their squad. The Seahawks are going to be a factor next year. This game right here, I give it to the Seahawks.
Ooh. Donald?
I like the Seahawks also. I think Big Ben is going to be beat up by week 17. You know what I mean? The bye week's not going to help them. They should have went into this year drafting a quarterback and having them sit for a year.
Yes.
Oh, well. I guess they're going to learn the hard way.
Yes. Big mistake by Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting observation. Because Ben and I have talked numerous times about the quality of the backup quarterbacks in the NFL. And if you look at the backup quarterbacks in Pittsburgh, I don't see anybody that's making that team really competitive. So if Ben goes down, and that's who they're depending on, and if they didn't draft because they thought they actually had something, it makes me wonder about some of these coaches. All right. The Rams have a new quarterback. The Ravens have a quarterback who needs to prove something. What's this, his third year for Lamar?
Yeah, they got to get him weapons, man. I'm going to make this one easy for you. I'm picking the Rams.
Ugh.
I think the Rams have the type of defense that will give Lamar fits. I also believe that the Rams have the type of offense that can go on top, get a lead on the Ravens, and not allow them to come back. The Ravens' Achilles heel is falling behind on the scoreboard.
So Matt Stafford is going to have command up there in the with the Rams, eh?
Yeah, he's going to have weapons.
I think the Ravens probably aren't going to need this game. They'll already be set in the playoffs already. They'll be resting players.
Oh, you're wrong.
They'll let Goff have this one.
No, you're wrong.
Well, not Goff. Goff doesn't play for him anymore.
Golf's with Detroit.
Stafford.
They got Stafford.
You know what? They'll probably give it to Stafford, and the Rams might make the playoffs off of this game. This game might be more important to Stafford than it is the Ravens.
Oh, man. All right. Let's move this one to the Cardinals and the Browns.
How prophetic. How pathetic that we go Cardinals, Browns, right after we go Rams, Ravens. Huh?
Yeah, same division.
Same division.
That's
Cardinals,
all my division
Rams.
right there. That's the NFC West, isn't it?
Yes. Now, let me say this and get this off so y'all can.
Donald, if you don't know, it's all about the Niners, baby.
Let me get this one out so y'all can talk, okay?
No Jerry Rice. No Jerry Rice this year.
He said Jerry Rice ain't walking through that locker room door, bro. But listen, beware of the Cleveland Browns. You heard it here first, okay? Beware of the Cleveland Browns. They are going to be a handful next year in their division. The Ravens cannot slouch. The Ravens have got to get their act together, or the Cleveland Browns are going to win that division. I already think they've proven to the Steelers that they can beat them when they need to. The Ravens might be another story. The Browns could very easily win that division. Cardinals, Rams, not so easy. Cardinals, it's going to depend again, like we said, on how they draft and what they do in free agency and stuff like that. I see the Browns beating the Cardinals without much trouble here. That's pretty.
I see the Browns beating the Cardinals, but I also see possibly the Browns and the Ravens having the same record in the end, with the Cardinals losing, I think that's going to help the Eagles.
Help
And
the
then
Eagles.
No.
I think
See how
with
he
the
puts
Cardinals
the Eagles.
losing, I think it's going to help the Eagles.
See how
All
he
right.
puts the Eagles in
We
everything.
need, we need all the help we can get.
I warned you, Barry. Bring an Eagles fan on here. It's always going to run back to the Eagles.
All right, let's move on in here because where are we at? We're at
San Fran
my
back.
beloved 49ers going against Joe Burrow, assuming he's still upright and healthy with the Bengals. Uh-oh.
I'll tell you the truth. I love the 49ers more than you do, Barry. I really do. You
Do you hear this, Donald?
yeah,
He,
no.
he doesn't even understand my love, but go ahead.
Let me no, I don't understand your love. And I'll tell you this, Donald. He loves the laundry, but he don't love the players. He's a San Francisco fan, but he don't love the players. I talk up his players more than he does. If the 49ers get this quarterback thing worked out properly, and I don't care how they do it, if they get the right guy in the draft and they keep Garoppolo and he stays healthy till they can plug in the guy that they drafted, because if they pick him that high, he's going to play, okay? The 49ers can really go far this season. This game here, I'm picking the Niners hands down.
What's interesting about this game is, and you're right, the 49ers, what quarterback are they going to get? Whoever they get is probably going to have the same amount of experience as Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow only had one good year at LSU. So if you look at Trey Lance, he only got 1 year.
Well,
Justin Fields only had one good year.
Be careful now.
Mac Jones only had one good year. I mean, come on now.
Be careful now. Joe Burrow took over for Cincinnati last year, day one, and played really, really well before he got.
I'm just talking about college career. I mean, his career.
About the college career.
I know, but his season was shortened. His season was shortened, just like Jalen Hurts' season was short. So that's not really enough. That's not really enough evidence to tell me who's going to win this game.
Bro, please do not compare Joe Burrow to Jalen Hurts.
In other words, what I'm saying is, you
Jalen
would like
Hurts
to
at the bench until they got tired of Wentz. Burrow started day one.
But what I'm saying is, in a matchup like this, you will want to go with the most experienced quarterback.
Okay, well, if that,
and this game could go either way.
I'll agree with that.
All right. As I drop things and make all types of noise and mess over here, bottom line, though, is hopefully Garoppolo will be upright and Joe Burrow will be upright, and this will be a heck of a game. Next up, Saints, Titans. Jameis, where will he be in the touchdown to interception ratio by the end of the season next week?
I'm not going to let you keep doing this, man. I tried to stop you last week. On this thing, okay? Jameis Winston does not play for no biscuit, no risk it, no risk it, no biscuit Arians anymore. No risk it, no biscuit Arians doesn't even exist anymore because Tom Brady fixed him, okay? Jameis Winston was a victim of no risk it, no biscuit. He now plays for Sean Payton. Trust me, you will see the best Jameis Winston you have ever seen since Florida State. The problem is, can the Saints recreate their defensive prowess from last season? Because the Titans still have Tannehill, they still have A.J. Brown, they still have Derrick Henry. They will probably draft a top wide receiver to take Corey Davis's place. I got to go Titans here.
Ooh.
I got the Titans in this one. There's too many moving parts on the Saints, too many new people on the Saints, and the only way the Saints can pull this off, they got to have a real good draft.
All right, good enough, good enough. Next up, now this is interesting. You've got the GOAT, I'm assuming, still upright with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and now you have the question, the Wentz question in Indianapolis with the Colts. Where would that team be? People are saying, you know, if Wentz plays up to par, if he plays to what is 2019 level is what they say, these guys are straight up in the playoffs contending. What do you think?
I think the Colts by week 17 of this upcoming season will be on the cusp of either getting a really nice seed and home field advantage or needing this game to make the playoffs. They will be balling out to win this game. I think the Buccaneers maybe will be set and maybe not be balling out to win this game. I'm taking the Colts.
I totally agree with what my brother says. He was accurate on every level.
All right, this family agreement here.
No, bro, it makes sense.
I don't know. Okay, let's try the next one. The Panthers, who just picked up Darnold, who people are saying it's really good for Darnold to have a fresh start, man. You know, somebody who believes in him. And the troubled Texans, we don't know where Deshaun's going to be come this time in the season. Hopefully he won't be in prison or something like that, or in some serious trial for criminal charges. So we don't know who the potential quarterback, well, I don't know. You guys might know who the potential quarterback is if Deshaun's not there.
I have no clue. But I'll tell you this, whether even if all this mess that's hanging over Deshaun's head hadn't come about, I'm pretty confident that he was going to sit out the season. I really was. He done lost his endorsements now. Nike backed out on him, and the headphone people backed out on Beats. They backed out on him.
I heard about Nike, but not Beats.
Yeah, Beats backed out on him too. So, I mean,
Nike only suspended. They didn't say they cut ties. They called it a suspension. So they're waiting to see.
Okay.
Just quickly, watching again, Pro Football Talk. The one thing I like about the one guy, he's an attorney, so he gets into this at a whole nother level. But he was saying that this one young lady who came forth showed her face and got interviewed on camera. He was talking about that as a legal move. And he's saying it changes a lot when people see a live person, you know, crying on stage, you know, talking about how it affected her and all of that. So, you know, but he had a number of ladies come out that say he was a perfect gentleman, like about 16. So you almost have equal numbers saying he was great or he was a monster, you know? So this is an intriguing situation, but I don't know how that's going to impact this game.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's no way I'm taking the Texans. The cloud that's hanging over their head. And I'm not talking about just the Deshaun thing. I'm talking about all the missteps that they have made over the past couple of seasons. I'm going with the Panthers. I think the Panthers are up on the upswing. I like Matt Rule. I like what they're doing there. I actually like the Sam Darnold move, to tell you the truth. They put their foot down. They said, you know what? If the Jets are going to keep Sam Darnold, who ain't been around long enough to mentor anybody, and they're going to take Zach Wilson, let's make a move for Darnold, because we believe that the Jets believe that they were a little torn between keeping him or taking Zach Wilson. So we'll take Darnold off your hands. Now we don't have to worry about this picking between Trey Lance and Justin Fields and Mac Jones. All that's gone now, and we can concentrate on the other things that we need to do, because we know Sam Darnold has proven that he can make it in the NFL. No, he didn't have great stats. No, he didn't win a lot of games. That's because he was on a crappy team. He had crappy coaches, and he didn't have a lot of weapons. Okay? We will give him everything we think he needs to be a good quarterback, and we believe that he can do it. I'd take the Panthers all day on this one.
I got the Panthers in this game, but I don't think the show's over with. They didn't have to really give up that much for Sam Darnold. I'm looking for the Panthers to draft somebody in the later rounds. I don't think the show's over yet. I don't think they're totally convinced with Sam Darnold. I think he's a bridge cat quarterback, just like Andy Dalton is.
So you think they might try a sleeper quarterback in the later round?
I believe so.
Okay, that's.
But I give the win. I give the win to the Panthers.
Okay.
I just have one kind of different thought on this, and you know, everything that Ben said about the dysfunction going on with Houston is you know, true, especially at those upper levels. However, we also talked about, or at least we have some articles on our page about the new coaching staff that has moved into the Texans. And in the back of my mind, I think about the Miami Dolphins when they had a brand new coach and they were in the midst of trying to lose games. They were doing their best to lose in terms of the talents and the things that was given to the coach. And one of the reasons Ben and I are such big fans of their coach is he refused to lose, even in that crazy situation that he was in. So I'm looking to see how the Houston Texans coaching staff is going to respond in this situation, you know, and because again, that was the only black coach of the 8 coaches that got hired. That was the only black coach, and he was light skinned. So I guess they didn't give him no credit for being black. I didn't hear anything about an African American coach being given any credit.
And don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if they draft an African American quarterback later on in the draft.
Okay, all right. But you guys like the Panthers. Next up, we got the Falcons, and what am I looking like? Is that a Jaguar? Is that what the heck that is? Yes.
What? Oh, yeah.
Falcons, Jags. Jags, new coach, right? Straight from the bottom, first round pick. Falcons don't know exactly. Well, okay. Falcons, who'd you guys say the Falcons were going to pick up on in the draft? Wasn't a quarterback though, right?
No, it wasn't a quarterback. I think they still got Matt Ryan still got a couple years left on his contract. Obviously, he can still play. He's not broken down. He has not sustained a lot of serious injuries. Okay, he's not in the Ben Roethlisberger situation where he's had elbow surgery and all that crap. Matt Ryan is relatively healthy. Okay. So even though he's getting up in age and he doesn't have his fastball anymore, he can still play. So I feel like they're thinking maybe we can wait one more year before we actually try to go up high for a quarterback, or maybe find one in the later rounds, like Donald said about Houston, or about Carolina rather. But when I look at this game, and I don't know what's going to happen with Urban Meyer, who is an extremely successful head coach in college, but is having his first time in the NFL. I've seen a lot of successful college coaches come into the NFL the first time and crap out. Okay. Saban crapped out. The Seahawks head coach, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
He crapped out his first time around with the Patriots. The Florida head coach, he crapped out with the then Redskins. It's happened quite often. But I kind of think Urban Meyer's a little different from those guys. And I think a young team like the Jaguars will suit him well. I picked the Jaguars to take this game. they pretty much got a nice little running game going. I predict that they will shore up their offensive line and then start to work on their secondary. They're going to draft Trevor Lawrence first overall. I like the Jags to beat the Falcons.
I got the Jaguars in this game. I believe that no matter how the game is going, if Lawrence starts picking up his confidence during the game, he's a winner. I think the Jaguars can easily win this game. I mean, this kid, I've seen him come back so many times in different games, and his confidence level just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. He doesn't let anything bother him. If he throws a pick or he can't make a third down pass, his confidence is going to rise regardless of what's going on in the game. He got the perfect coach. I think the Jaguars are going to pull this off.
All right. The Jaguars going with the rookie coach, man. And, the Falcons are in that situation where they're kind of in a win now situation. So if they do have any level of success, it's not going to help them move up the draft ladders.
They're in a bad spot.
That's those Midland situations are difficult.
Yeah, they're not ready to rebuild, and they're not really good enough to make a strong push. They're stuck.
I mean, if they're smart, they'll stay at 4 and draft a quarterback.
But they're not smart, Dom. You know what they think? They think if we're smart, we'll trade out of the 4th spot, trade down, get some extra picks, and start rebuilding next year.
Yeah, that's those are two different philosophies, and we'll see which they decide to go with. All right. The Washington football team, back to the NFC East, right? All these teams are in the NFC East, right? And all the teams below are in the AFC East. So it's very interesting. But Washington against Buffalo. Chasing Josh down. I want to see that.
I'm sure you'd love to see that, but trust me, just take the Buffalo Bills and forget about it.
That's Ben's his other love, his secret love.
Take the Buffalo Bills and forget about it.
Oh, you guys are making me ill. You're making me ill. I'm telling you.
Are we gonna disagree on this one?
I just pumped up Mr. Coach Flores and talked about how the Texans coach, African-American coach, that's a model of coming in a situation that's turbulent, in a situation where your upper management isn't necessarily trying to help you win, and you win anyway, and then you go up to New York in week 17, what you gonna do?
Wow. Okay, so things are changing. Well, things are changing in the AFC East, a division that the Patriots have ruled over for several years in a row, has now somewhat been taken over by the Buffalo Bills, with the Miami Dolphins rising steadily and the Jets kind of floundering, okay? But in the NFC East, we have everybody floundering and everybody jockeying for position to take over, regardless of how good or bad a season they have. It's just like, let's just be there at the end kind of thing. So I think that's going to happen again this year. And because I see the Dolphins as a riser, and I see the Giants as a team that's just trying to tread water until another season or two when they can really make a breakthrough, if I have to pick this game, I would take the Dolphins.
Guess what? You're wrong. I think the Giants can pull this one off. I don't have confidence in Tua. I don't have confidence in him.
Good point.
Earlier, there were reports that the Dolphins might draft a quarterback. They were interested in Watson before he got into legal problems. So I don't think they're sold on Tua. I think the Giants can pull this off if they actually can draft well defensively. I think Tua is going to be on his heels. He's going to be running all over the place. I got the Giants in this one.
Nice.
Didn't you say the Giants, was it an edge rusher they were looking to pick up?
He liked them to take an edge rusher. I liked him to take an offensive lineman.
Okay, so you got to protect Daniel Jones, or you got to get to Tua.
Oh, you can get an offensive lineman in the second round.
You can get edge rushers in the second round. They picked up 2 edge rushers in free agency.
I heard some discussions on Tua where they were basically, the question was this, like, what does he do special? They were talking about some of the other, quarterbacks, and you could say, like, if you take a Deshaun Watson, for example, you say, okay, what does Deshaun do? He has a few special things that he can do. His speed, his agility, his strength, and all of that. They keep looking at Tua like, okay, you were a good quarterback, but what can you do? And I guess you're back to that athletic quarterback, non-athletic quarterback. But Tua's not even big, A lot of the non-athletic quarterbacks, at least they're coming in at 6'4" to 6'6", which means you don't have to move it so much because you can still see. Russell Wilson can create passing lanes through movement, and he knows how to do that. So we'll have to see with Tua. That's going to be interesting to see how he stands up through the year. All right. Let's go. Oh, this is an interesting matchup.
Oh, this is a good one.
Because Dak is back. Dak has video out. Matter of fact, I think I put a copy up on Ben and Barry on football, where he's taking snaps, turning and throwing. And I mean, he's moving feet and everything. So it's great to see that he looks like he's really doing well in his recovery and his rehab. And then there you got your there's no question about that quarterback relative to being effective. The question is over on the Patriots side, where they're loading up with all the big contracts, and now the question is Cam. So you got 2 3-letter quarterbacks, Dak and Cam. Who you got?
Both of these teams' fate depends heavily on this 2021 draft. Both of these teams, their whole existence for this upcoming season depends very heavily on how well they draft. That's all I can tell you. If I have to pick the game, I'll pick the home team. Like, this is crazy. I love seeing Dak come back. I really do, even though he's in the same division with my team. And I know that could be a problem for the Giants. I'm not really that worried because I know Dallas has so many issues on defense that makes that a game that we can win. But again, if they draft well and they get a couple of guys in the secondary and maybe a linebacker, they can be a real problem. Same thing with the Patriots. Their defense is pretty solid. They had a lot of guys that opted out, and they had a couple injuries. All those guys should be back on defense.
Oh, yeah.
If they get themselves a nice receiver, you know what I mean? And they can shore up their running back situation because they've been going with this committee thing for a while. One of those guys has got to step up, okay? Then they can be dangerous. But right now, you make me pick, you twist my arm, I take the Cowboys.
Going with the boys.
I'm going with the Patriots. My brother's right. This game is going to depend upon who drafts well this year. I think sometimes you have to look at the coaching staff, and some coaches help you win like 2 or 3 games a year. So I'm basing this on New England's coaching staff. Belichick is the better coach. I think he figures out a way to beat the Cowboys.
Damn, and he went coaching on you.
Yeah, good move. That's a good counter.
Donald, we talk about brain trust a lot on our show, and that coach is a part of that. That's a part of that. We look at the quarterback, look at the coach, and sometimes the GM, and that brain trust there. And when it's really clicking, last week we did for Women's Month a lady who is a part of the Tampa Bay organization, young African American lady, and Davidson was her last name. And I mean, she does she's an attorney. She does draft forecasting, free agent contract management. I mean, she just did all types of stuff, man.
Yo,
I saw that show last week.
She negotiates contracts and she's a capologist.
This
Yo,
is why they won the Super Bowl. She does everything.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So let's go to your team, Donald. The Eagles. This is an all green game.
Yes, yes.
All green. Eagles, Jets, 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 and another two teams that just figured out how to spell their team names.
All this green reminds me of Germantown Bears.
Oh,
yeah, baby.
All that green.
Deep down in the house.
So you guys both played for Germantown.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, Jamie Christmas. Okay, Benny, Eagles, Jets. 17th the additional game of the season. And you know, they added week 17, but we don't really know where these games are going to fall in the schedule. They might not fall at the end of this. They might fall anywhere in the season.
Right, because this says for the newly added week 17 of the 2021 season, but when you go to NFL website for next year's schedule, this is what you see. So these might not be the scheduled games for week 17, which kind of throws everything off.
A little bit, but
I've been looking at it as if it's the end of the season.
I know.
And this is who we play. But that's okay. That's all right. That's the fun of it. Bottom line is, I look at this other game. Both teams have new head coaches. Both teams have issues on defense, big issues on defense. Not as big offensively, but they got to plug in some guys here and there. I have more confidence in the Jets' new head coach being the defensive coordinator of a successful culture in San Francisco, as opposed to the Eagles' new head coach, who also is coming from a successful Indianapolis Colts team, but doesn't have the kind of pedigree that the Jets head coach has. I'm taking the Jets.
Ooh, Jets. Well, I don't know.
Well, you know I got the Eagles, right? You know that, right?
Obviously.
No, we don't. We don't know that because
Yeah,
it's
we know
a
that.
football decision. This ain't a fan decision.
Our coaching staff is from Indianapolis. We got a new quarterback coach, okay, who knows Jalen Hurts pretty well. I believe we can easily win this game.
Ooh, easily.
Easily win this game. The Colts have been killing the Jets for over the years. It's the same coaching staff. We're going to run some of the plays that are similar to
Who has the same coaching staff?
Not only that,
same coaching staff?
He's saying the Eagles have the Colts' old coaching staff.
Exactly. Not only that,
it's the head coach and the quarterback coach, Barry. That's it.
The quarterback coach knows Jalen Hurts very well.
Because he was a child.
Not only that, what else can I say?
Right.
Oh, we're just going to win because of the fact that we're going to have the better quarterback.
Let me ask you a question, Donald.
Better quarterback. You think Jalen Hurts is going to be the better quarterback than the number 2 pick in the draft?
He's going in his second year. Okay, we're probably going to be running. They already said on the Eagles website that we're going to be running a lot of plays he ran at Alabama and Oklahoma. He's going to be comfortable, and Zach Wilson's going to be picking up the NFL game right away. He's still going to have to learn the speed of the game, and he might be banged up by the time he sees us.
Yeah, you got a point there. You do kind of have a point there. But tell me this, and I'm not trying to be funny. I really don't know the answer to this question. Who is the new defensive coordinator for the Eagles? Do you know?
a guy named Gannon who used to coach with the San Diego Chargers.
Okay. I'm not sure I know him, but I'll check into that.
But the quarterback coach is very interesting
He knows
because he was the offensive coordinator at Florida, and this is why I like some Pitts.
Bro, stop it. You're not getting Pitts. He's gone. He'll be gone.
All right, guys, that was fun. That was that was
All right, fellas, I gotta go. My wife's calling me.
That was kind of a charge. Donald, thank you for joining us. We will be in touch with you. Leave us some comments and have a good one. You be safe out there, man.
All right, make sure you guys look at high school, college, and NFL football all together.
Yeah, I got time for all of that. All right. Talk to you later. All right.
He's crazy about the pub, man.
I see. Did not know that they were in season. I usually do at the very least.
Yeah.
Have some idea with that, and I didn't know that. So that was good. All right, Benny. So that was really, really interesting, man. That little piece about with all the matchups coming up, man. Next year, rather, some really intriguing matchups. Let's take a quick look at a few subject matter before we wrap up the show. Man, Benny, when you look at, we're talking about the first 3 picks probably being quarterbacks in this particular draft. And then when you look at this chart, which shows the quarterback selected in the top 3, overall, starting the 2021 season with a new team. So these players were picked in the top 3. You have Sam Darnold with the Jets, Mitchell Trubisky with the Bears, Jared Goff with the Rams, Carson Wentz with the Eagles, Matthew Stafford with the Lions. So they were all picked as top 3 quarterbacks. And now they're all with different teams. So it just kind of shows you how perilous, is that a good word? It is picking a quarterback in the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, perilous is kind of a good word. You have to really do your homework. You have to really decide kind of the fate of your team's future when you make a pick like that. And as you can see by that list, although some people might look at the list like that in a negative way, it's not really negative. Of those players selected, or of those players listed, only one of them is going to a new team in a backup role. The rest of them are all going from being a starter on this team to a starter on that team. So it's not necessarily a negative thing. It's sometimes guys just don't fit, but where they were drafted still has played itself out because they've become attractive to someone else, even though they didn't work out where they were.
Well, Sam Darnold would be a good example of that. And then you have those non-football things that happen. Again, talking about Sam Darnold, and we talked about how the new coach might want to change the culture. That's not necessarily saying we're going to go try to win the Super Bowl next year. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so we're going to keep the guy who we know is seasoned, we think we can build and go on. Now it's like, well, if we don't win the Super Bowl next year, we got a rookie quarterback. That's a good 5-year coaching plan, keep your contract going. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're really trying to win a Super Bowl. All right. The next thing I wanted to talk about real quick, Benny, almost brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it? Breaking news. Larry Fitzgerald retiring. Oh, man. Fitzy.
Great player, class act. all the way around. If you get a chance to see his 30 for 30 on ESPN, please watch it. This kid, first of all, his father was a writer for a major newspaper, I think, in Minnesota during the years when Randy Moss and Chris Carter were there. Okay, so Larry Fitzgerald as a kid is running around with Chris Carter and Randy Moss. All right, he went to a military academy. I mean, he just, oh my gosh. But the main thing is, as great a player as he was, and I'm glad he had an opportunity to play in a Super Bowl, even though they didn't win one. You like to see guys that are real positive guys like him have successful careers. I have no doubt that he'll be in the Hall of Fame. He's got the numbers, I'm pretty sure, even without having won a Super Bowl. And like I said, class act, man.
You know, you mentioned the 30 for 30. He's a traveler.
Very much so. World traveler.
So, you know, now you retires. What are you going to do? Travel? I mean, you know, if you really like to travel, now you got all the time to do it.
Yes.
But it will be interesting to see what he does. A lot of nonprofit work, you know, things of that nature. He's always been that guy. So, yeah, you know, we will miss him. You know, he did some damage to my Niners. I'm not going to hold it against him. You know, he did a little bit of damage. That's okay. All right, Benny, we're going to finish up with the piece that you actually shared, because you know you don't do a lot of the social media stuff, man. But you kind of shared this, and I was like, oh yeah, we can talk about this for a minute. This is the Barry Sanders 1988 college season record, his yards and TD records per team. Let's just go to the total at the bottom for a minute, and then you can maybe, you know, tell us a little bit. I don't know if you remember any of these games per se. I really didn't watch him when he was in college, but you're looking at a 2,850 yards and 42 touchdowns in a season.
Let that sink in real quick. 2,850 yards and 42 touchdowns at a major D1 school, Oklahoma State. Okay, we're not talking Division II. We're not talking 1AA. All right, we're talking a major D1 school, and this is after he was able to take over from Thurman Thomas, who went on.
Who he took over from?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. I kind of remember that now.
When he came in as a freshman, Thurman Thomas was ahead of him. Okay. And Thurman Thomas had a spectacular career at Oklahoma State. But when Barry took over, this is amazing. First of all, let me look down this list real fast. His worst game was against Missouri. He had 154 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is on the ground, right? I don't think this counts passing. I'm pretty sure this is all rushing. I could be wrong.
They don't actually say like line and scrimmage type stat or whatever, but
right. Okay, back then Missouri was kind of formidable. His next worst game, 157 yards and 2 touchdowns against Texas A&M. These are major D1. You know, now obviously back then there were some teams that, although they had big D1 names, they weren't very good, like Kansas and Kansas State, where, as you can see, those were two of his biggest games. 320 yards rushing. This can't just be rushing. Who can rush?
It's Barry Sanders. And I mean, look at Tulsa, 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. Kansas, 312 and 5 touchdowns. Wyoming, he had an efficient game against Wyoming, 222 and 5 touchdowns.
And I tell you what, I look at Wyoming, I look at Texas Tech. I look at Kansas, Kansas State, Nebraska, Colorado, Tulsa. Yeah. I bet you he didn't play the fourth quarter in any of those games.
You might be right about
I would bet $1 to a donut that he didn't play the fourth quarter in any of those games.
Oh my goodness, that's a scary thought. When they just we'll have a drink and we'll go back and look at the quarterly stats on those games.
Oh, yo, I know a lot of people go to his Detroit Lions YouTube highlights.
Right.
Go to his Oklahoma State highlights. You won't believe it. You won't believe it.
I can imagine. All right, man. Barry. Ben and Barry on Football. www.benandbarryonfootball.com on podcast with Spotify and Apple Podcasts, on the radio, online at WJRL953.com, and of course across social media. All right, Benny. The only thing I wanted to say is, as a Madden guy, I go on to play games, and I've been telling you lately, I go on and there's hardly anybody on there. Like one day there was 11 guys.
Really?
Literally, I went on the last week, 0.
I'm surprised.
Huh?
I'm surprised.
I'm amazed. How is there 0 people? And I'm like, is it me? Have they seen me practice or something? And they're like,
No, it ain't you, bro. In fact, somehow, some way, I got hooked on to some Madden something on Facebook. So guys are popping up on my Facebook page. So maybe I'm going to try to link you in with them. But these dudes are all top notch. These guys got belts.
Okay. That's what I want to see.
So maybe I can hook you in with that site or whatever where they keep popping up. I didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
It's there. So
it's funny, because I haven't since I got the PlayStation 5, I have not even charged up or plugged in the PlayStation 4. And I still think a lot of people are on 4 and not on 5. And that might be a part of what's going on. But 0 is crazy. So,
crazy.
All right. Benny, final comments?
Real quick, PTTFL season has begun. We're 2 games in. We're off this weekend because there is a major national invitational tournament down in Annapolis, Maryland. I will be traveling down there with a 35 and over team who will be competing in an open division, which basically means my old 35 and over guys are going to be playing a bunch of young dudes. But, we're going to do what we can do because we need the competition, because we're trying to prepare for nationals. So we're just going to go down there and cast our lot and see what we can do. Other than that, all I got to say is go Noles.